Now, Damo, let's talk some serious footy for the moment there, because there are so many ramifications to this, and we still don't know what is going to happen to the season, if in fact there is a season.
Yeah, and it's the unknown is the paramount outcome of everything, TJ. Look, what they did during the week, as we know, two major projects the AFL embarked upon. One was to get the agreement of the players with their pay deal, and basically the layman's terms of that is they stay at 50% reductions as of April, right through until the end of the season if they play football. If they don't play football, that figure goes down to 70%. It will need to be restruck in October, that deal either way. And the second project, and this is the one that I expect some announcements on some stage this week, that is a lifeline, a financial lifeline of the tune of up to $600 million to be given to the AFL. Now, it's not a grant, it's not a gift, it's a loan. That's all it is. But it will allow the AFL to operate throughout 2020, no matter what happens. We play games or we don't play games. And the negotiations with the banks are still ongoing in that space, TJ, but it will be done, the way I read it anyway, at some stage of the next week.
Because the easy thing to do would be to sort of say, oh, that'd be right, the AFL... But they are a big business stroke small business at club level, employing thousands of people, and we know that hundreds upon hundreds have been laid off.
Yeah, I know one club in particular who's down to 8 football staff at this point, down from about over 100. So
North Melbourne have closed the doors. James Brayshaw told us that yesterday. They've actually turned the power off and closed the doors.
The electricity bills for a club like North Melbourne are between $12,000 and $15,000 alone a month, and that will obviously allow them to save that figure, Bill. But you're right, the doors have been locked, the lights are off.
The perception of the players has been interesting, just following on, and the fans, I think we all know, are doing it really tough at the moment. Damo, the question to you is, it's 50% and 70 and 50, which sounds extreme, but they have been paid in full because their contract goes from October to October for 5 months. So, in essence, on the surface of it, the AFL players at this stage have come out of it pretty well.
Yeah, they have, and you're right. They've received full payments for the first 5 months of that deal. Up until the end of March, they are fully paid. And they struck a deal, Kane. I've got more empathy for the players than a lot of people do. They, this time last week, let's not forget that. This is how quickly this has moved. They were still playing matches this time last week. Their headspace was in a different zone to what I think we were and the other members of the public were. They were forced to prop up the industry in terms of trying to play the games. That ended on Sunday night last week. And now they had to negotiate something that might have taken 6 months in a normal world scenario inside 4 or 5 days. I think they've done well. They've allowed the game to continue under this loan arrangement.
But
TJ.
they have done well. They've done very, very well. What they don't need are the Jack Revolts of this world trying to turn it into something that it's not, and by comparing it to the bushfire relief game, talking about putting bodies on the line, etc., etc. Jack, you did yourself no service whatsoever there.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, he was on a paid media gig himself when he made that particular comment. I'd only say that because if all the commentary was streamlined through Paul Marsh on this issue, the head of the players, that you wouldn't have had the problems that Jack Revolt caused during the week.
Damo, I'll ask you a question. If the season goes into November, possibly even December, New Year's Eve, like they're talking about, if it does go that long, have they discussed how 2021 looks and a starting time? Do we still start in March? Normally they have 6 months off. That would leave 2.5 months maybe to get ready for AFL footy.
Bernie, all focus right now is just getting the remaining 144 matches played this season plus finals. People are having conversations of a distant nature about next year, but we just don't know. When I say we, the industry, the people at the top of the industry, at the clubs, do not know if there's going to be one more game played even in 2020.
I like this question. Lordo brought up this before the meeting. What constitutes a season? What is a season?
Look, the way I would read it, Bill, to me, you need to get through the games they've now declared is a season. That is, every team plays each other once. And I would think the asterisk comes on that, should they have to reduce that total amount of, in totality, in a home and away sense, 153 games.
And it will be like the Big Bash. There'll be a game on a Monday night, Tuesday night, Wednesday night, Thursday night, maybe 2 on Friday and Saturday, something like that?
Possibly, yeah. The May 31 deadline that the AFL has now gone public with, that won't be ending then the way anyone in the football now reads it. It's going to be added to by at least a month. And the way the players have left it, Bill, on that front is that they will most likely need a month back at their clubs before they play a game. A month runway.
Match fit. In
order to get some form of collective fitness back.
Brandy, if we finish in December, I think the players would be happy to go in March anyway, because I think that we have too long a pre-season as it is, and I think 2 months would be fine. And I look forward to talking to Damo after too, TJ, about will every club survive this? Because I automatically think, we'll have all our clubs. But there's a different view across the panel here, whether we need a merger whether some clubs don't survive, what happens? Because that may be the fact, Damo, with the cost of the game and what's going to...
Well, look, having covered the attempted merger between Hawthorn and Melbourne and seeing the passion, the raw passion firsthand, I would be surprised if we ever get to that point again, no matter what the
So a club would go down before that?
This is a one in 100 years,
I don't.
Tone. This is a 1 in 100 years.
Well, absolutely it is, Bill.
Damo, could it happen?
I think those conversations, well, I know those conversations are being had in the back rooms about what lies ahead. It's to Brownie's point, what happens beyond 2020. Right now, all focus is on 2020, but it will come a stage where that has to be looked at. 10 teams in the one state and 9 of them in the one city.
Who's most at risk? What clubs?
Look, if you look at the drain, if we're just dealing with it purely financially, it's the 2 expansion teams are the ones. But they provide the AFL now with the foothold in the spaces that rugby league is about to
So
be
you're saying
decimated.
2 clubs in Melbourne are at risk?
No.
Well, St Kilda's got a massive debt. North Melbourne's continually a worry. And again, this is not stating anything dramatic.
What costs the AFL the most? What clubs?
The Gold Coast Suns.
Gold Coast Suns, then?
Look, maybe GWS beyond that.
And then?
Oh, well, they're questions without notice. I mean, we've
But
got
the
to give them a
biggest
bit of
debt, though, is Brisbane and St Kilda have huge debt, don't they?
They do. St Kilda's got a massive debt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look.